You know something needs to change, but when you try to name the direction, everything feels murky. That murkiness is often not a sign that the answer doesn't exist. It may be a sign you've been looking for it in the wrong place. In this video, I'm going to look at why thinking harder rarely resolves values murkiness and use the integrity wheel to show where the clarity that feels missing actually lives. And I'll give you 3 questions grounded in behavioral evidence, not reflection, that can move you from murky to oriented. Here's what the murkiness usually looks like at this stage of the work. You've done the reflection. You can name what's misaligned. You understand what it's costing you. And yet, when it comes to actually choosing a direction, pointing yourself towards something rather than just away from something, the clarity runs out. The more you analyze, the more equal your options start to feel, or the more the murkiness spreads. And underneath that frustration is something harder to admit: the fear that you've done all this work, named all these things, and you still don't actually know what you're supposed to do next. If that's where you are, please tap the like button. It helps other people in exactly this place find this work. I want to share something personal with you. Before I made the formal decision to build this channel, I had been building it anyway for years: writing, drawing, developing frameworks, mind mapping, returning to the same questions over and over in a countless number of journals. I hadn't named it as a direction, but my behavior had already chosen one over the course of a decade. When I finally looked at what I had been protecting with my actual time and energy, not what I said mattered, but what I'd been giving my hours to when no one was asking me to, the direction wasn't murky at all. It was already there. I just hadn't been reading it as a decision yet. If you're in that kind of murky, here's why the thinking keeps circling. And this is where the wheel makes a distinction that almost nothing else does. On the integrity wheel, a framework for locating where you are in your own development, the summer to autumn threshold is where the internal compass gets recalibrated. Values that organized in the summer are under examination. New values haven't fully formed. And in that gap, the space between what used to organize you and what hasn't come yet, the cognitive system is struggling to make decisions reliably. What tends to happen at this threshold is that values, which used to organize your choices, have shifted, and new ones haven't fully formed. The criteria the compass relies on are in flux, and so it can't give you clean direction. And so you think harder, and the harder you think, the more murky it gets. Here is what the wheel shows about this murkiness. The murkiness is not a failure of self-knowledge. It's a signal that your cognitive system has been given a job it can't do. You can't think your way to values clarity because values are not primarily cognitive. They're behavioral. They are what you protect, what you return to, what you give your energy to when no one is asking you. The clarity isn't in your thinking, it's in your behavior, and it's already there. Which brings us to the one thing that actually moves this. And here's what I really want to offer on this: 3 questions, not for reflection, but for reading behavioral evidence that's already present. Okay, the first: in the last 30 days, what did you protect when it cost you something? Not what you intended to protect, what you actually gave your time, your energy, and your willingness to disappoint someone for. That's your enacted value. That's the clearest signal. The second: where does your resentment keep landing? Not what caused it, but what value is it refusing to let you ignore? Resentment arises at the intersection of what you actually value and what keeps getting pushed aside. It's a behavioral signal, not just an emotion. The third: What kind of belonging would your next chapter require you to build? Not what you have now, but what the direction forward would ask of your relationships. If a direction requires you to release conditional belonging and build something sturdier, that ask is itself information pointing toward where you actually want to go. Now, sit with all three of these questions. Write down whatever surfaces. Don't analyze what comes up, just notice it without judgment. The convergence point across the three answers is likely closer to your actual direction than anything more thinking would have produced. Everything in this series is building toward what comes next. New videos are published 2 to 3 times a week, and this is the work we get to explore together. If you haven't subscribed yet, consider this an invitation. Join us as we explore leading an integrous life together. So, here's what I'd like to leave you with. Before you do anything else today, take the 3 questions, sit with them honestly. What did you protect when it cost you something? Where does your resentment keep landing? What kind of belonging would the next chapter ask you to build? Write down the first thing that surfaces for each. Don't edit it. Don't analyze it yet. Just read what your behavior has already been telling you. Let me know what came up for you in the comments. When you sit with those 3 questions, something may surface that feels like an echo rather than a direction, a value that used to move you but doesn't quite anymore. In the next video, I'm going to look at what it means when a value goes quiet and how to tell whether it still belongs to you or whether it's completed its season. The right choices and the good feelings are not always the same thing. I'll see you in the next one.